Hi, I'm Laurie Wheeler, and thanks for being here today. Thanks for being at this new concept of insights and beyond in 2023. This is a look ahead at what's happening from this moment forward. And so we're at the dawn of a new year and a time of what we call great disclosure and unearthing. And as you know, there's been a lot that's been bubbling up. It's all becoming exposed and helping us to become aware. So it's activating also some of those dormant senses and information that has been hidden for so long. We could rewrite history at this point, the books, because so much of what has been told to us is not real, or is not the real truth, I will say. It's been covered up, but also within ourselves, a lot has been undisclosed. And so now it's starting to really wake us up. And this year is about climbing on board to ride the wave of what we've begun to activate and continue to keep that motion moving forward. So it's about listening and attuning to the sounds of the higher frequencies and allowing those sounds to bring us farther in, closer, I'll say, farther but closer to what we really want, to the real truth, to who we are, to our divine selves, to the truth that we choose we want, and to become aware of this. And this entails opening more and attuning to those deeper senses, to all of them. And one way of doing that is actually through the upper chakras beyond the seven, and opening to those, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But to know and remember those places that we hold dormant in our memory, outside of our current time, outside of this three-dimensional time that we're in right now, because we're multi-dimensional beings, and we know this at a certain level, and we're coming more into this really accepting it, feeling it, being it. This is going to activate more of the sequences to raise our frequencies and to uplift the multitudes of people all over the globe. And also listening and hearing the voices and the songs of the angels. They are encoded with codes that are expanding, capable of expanding our heart. And as we're just coming off this holiday time, there were many moments that were so apparent to listening to the angels. You know, back at the time of Jesus's birth, the angels filled the air. Can you just imagine? Can you just imagine the power, the glory, the intensity of all of that? It just sends goosebumps all over me every time I even think about that. That's where we need to tune into. That in itself can expand our hearts. So as we do become more attuned to this, to opening, to feeling, to connecting to hearing, we are connecting more to the inner sanctuary, which is our temple. And, you know, I've known this for a long time, that the body is our temple. But this is becoming more apparent on a different level, on multi-levels of understanding that we are the temple. And as you feel about sacred places here on earth, you know, we'll say Egypt and Glastonbury, England, and south of France, and Mount Shasta, and many other places all over the globe, Machu Picchu. There are so many. Chichen Itza. These all have temples, and these temples are in alignment, and we connecting ourselves to that alignment opens us up, illuminates us, connects and awakens our coding so that we can remember the real truth, our divine truth. And so we have to remember that our inner sanctuary is very sacred. And just the way we think about the angels and the ascended masters and those that come from and that are interdimensionals, and we think they're sacred, we must also remember that we are sacred too, because we are all one and all connected. And as they remind me that they are we and we are they, so there is no separation. So just as the symbol of the body and blood of the Last Supper, we must resemble the Christ light, the Christ consciousness. And there is a grid around our planet, around our galaxy, and its geometric form is the dodecahedron, which represents the Christ light. And this is a very interesting aspect, as some years ago, the dodecahedron made itself very aware to me, and the information that came from it was very illuminating. So I would suggest that this is a very good place to just begin to use the symbol also, and I think I've talked about this before in the past. But it's coming into the awareness of love, of your higher self, the love for humanity, hearing and experiencing this through your own voice, through what you illuminate. And it's about transcending what we call the animal brain, that which is stored within our DNA and a part of our brain, and it's held in the occipital area, the dent in the back of the head, the bulge, which is very different than the frontal lobe, which is your higher consciousness, and that's connected to the upper chakras and outer realms and multi-dimensions. And the animal brain is about letting go of the fight or flight, the fear, releasing that. And we're all working through that. We are working through the shadow parts of ourselves, the parts that we don't always want to talk about, we don't always want to admit that exist. I just did a little audio on this on Buzzsprout, and I'll put it in the caption below so you can go to it to listen to it. I'm not going to take the time to talk now about it, but it was a little personal journey there, and I talk about this here. So, and I want to mention that I'm going to be doing a master class on the living temple and explore this so much more within the concept of Christ light and Mary Magdalene and Yeshua and those that are connected also, because the Egyptian deities are also Isis and Osiris. They are literally connected and were the soul previous. So this will come about in the very near future, and I will be letting you know this. So I want to mention just for a moment, because I can't talk about all of this, and they remind me to mention this, about the Merkaba is really the way of light. It brings heaven and earth together, and it brings harmony. So the Merkaba, if you know, is the triangle and the inverted triangle, and it's three-dimensional. It's more dimensional, but you know, it's more than just drawing it. It is a dimensional aspect of ourselves, and it shines into and through our temple, our whole being. The Merkaba is our temple. And the chakras, which are our energy systems, which access these energy fields. And these energy fields are doorways that access different realms and different aspects of ourself and others. And each one is a temple door, literally. And they are energy to receive and to communicate with and to explore and to connect and to access outside of ourselves. So like I said, I will be doing a master class. And again, I want to remind you that as I've been reminded, all temples are connected to each other. And when I have explored, although I have never been to Egypt, but I will be hosting a retreat in March of 24. I've been there many times in many journeys, and it has come to me, it alivened in me, so I'm sure and know that I have had a time or two there. But more than that, it is speaking about the dormant energy that is there, that mankind is as now waking up, that we are readying ourselves to hear and to know the information that is written, or that it may not even be tangibly written, but that it's energized within the structure itself. And this is why I want to go to Egypt and bring others so that they can access this information. But we can all do this, and this is all coming and awakening and bringing this information forward, because my understanding of what they share with me, the Egyptian deities, is that everything mankind needs to know is in the temples and also in the Sphinx. So we all desire harmony, and inside ourselves and outside of ourselves. And you can see that the outside is very reflective, or our inside is very reflective of the outside, and the turmoil that the world is going through. You can feel the changes as Mother Gaia is going through what she's going through, as she's up leveling and changing her frequencies also into more of a format and an understanding and an expression of love, because that's all there really is. So you can see this turmoil all around us, all of that which tries to control and hold what it can, and that the information, again, it's unearthing, it's disclosing, it's coming up. And so it's for us to have discernment through all of it, because it can be very challenging and kind of chaotic to question what is it that I really believe. So it's time to clear up our inner world so that our outer world changes, and that we can come into more of a loving world and co-create this with what really we were born to be. So we're still operating at that old programming, the old paradigm, and as the light particles, they communicate with us to our programming that has been stored away in our DNA and our personal coding. So when you become aware, you're shifting it, you're clearing it, you're clearing the energy. It's not like you want to get rid of something, but you want to illuminate that which is quiet, because that has a different frequency than the lower energy, the darker energy, the energy that is no longer of truth, and that we're shifting into within our power. So I ask, when in a place of hurt or we're upset or sad or angry, what do we do with this? And if you're walking in a situation and you know you're walking into a situation, you're aware that there is something that doesn't vibe where your vibe is at the moment, put your shield up. You can put a shield up around you when you know that you're in a negative situation, or around somebody that's trying to pull you down. Maybe they're having a different point of view, and you can be kind about their point of view, but it may not be yours, and you may know a different truth. And so put your shield up. Be aware to do that so that that negative energy doesn't bring you down. And what if it comes on suddenly, in a moment? Somebody gets grumpy with you on the grocery line or whatever, or has a negative comment in a sort of way, okay? So this is what they tell me. The humor in this is, it's an interesting thing that we think we're so powerless at times. And we have the capability to access at any moment the power to change something, that which you don't want, to manifest with clarity, and to remember in our words, our actions, our feelings, the whole aspect of it, to put out the signal, to think not red light, but green light, to turn it around and put it into a different vibration, to think of it like as if you're turning into a radio station and you've come upon some stations not playing the music that you're interested in, right? So tuning that in. We tune in all the time. We tune in on our phones. Our phones, we know exactly what app, how to open Facebook, how to tune into messages, how to tune into our mail, whatever app we're interested. We just click a button because we know intentionally that's exactly what we want. So be clear about what you want. That is really important, and that we have the power to shift it. We have that power. We're capable. I was in Sedona some years ago, quite a few years ago actually, and I was, and I write about this in my book, Oh No, Not Another Learning Experience, a Metamorphosis. And I explained that we were taken out on a little bit of a journey with this guide, and I knew he wasn't taking us to the right places and saying the right things. I could feel it. I knew it didn't feel right. And my husband and I were on this little venture, and it was really a very funny venture, because to begin with, before we even left his office, the ceiling tiles came down off the ceiling and plopped right in front of me. And it was like the ceiling was caving in. And I knew we were in for the ride of our life. But we went because we had paid for it. So we thought, well, let's see what happens, what this is all about, right? And it was quite a venture. But I have to say, long story short, what was so awesome, and this was an amazing thing that happened to me. A grandmother tree, the spirit of the tree, a grandmother, came to me she called to me. She was just right over there in the path. She called to me, and I was listening. And I walked over and I leaned up against her. And immediately she said to me, "Are you going to let him take your power?" And I thought, that's what I needed. I needed a smack in the face to say, right, stop me dead in my tracks. Am I going to let him take my power? And I thought, no, I don't want anybody to take my power. And that's what I'm doing. By getting upset or not feeling like I'm doing what feels right for me, I'm allowing my power to be taken. We should never give our power away unless we choose. So this is a very important thing for us to understand along within our temple, what we radiate, what we shine out. So to be super manifestors, I'll say, we must be in charge of ourselves. We must learn how to work with this energy, with the energies, with the light that comes in. And sometimes when that light comes in, it's causing us stress because it's coming into our field, and it's connecting to the shadow, it's illuminating all, but also the shadow, which we may not want to look at or we may not want to walk through. But we have to surrender. And actually, the word that became very apparent of recent for this month, and maybe even moving forward, is the word capitulate. Now, this is not a word that is in my vocabulary. I will tell you for certain. It's not something I utter all the time. I didn't really, I knew a little bit, but I had to look it up. And it definitely means to surrender. And so allowing, moving, even when it's uncomfortable, all of that is recalibrating. We are not supposed to really fight it and resist it. It's a movement for our benefit. It is here. It allows us to move into it, to look at it, to acknowledge it, to say it is a part of me, but it's a part that I want to transform and transcend. And because it doesn't vibe with how I choose, I want. So when we're doing this, we're adjusting our timeline. And the more you open to this, the more you adjust. And this is what we're looking to do at this time. Another aspect of this is balancing also the feminine and the masculine. And so I'll just mention there are many ways. I'm not going to tell you how to balance because we all have different ways of actually accessing that. Grounding is one of them. But who brings this great information about this harmony of the feminine and the masculine is Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And in their union, they created a third aspect. And so you might say it's triangular also. And this is a balance they created together of harmony. But it is us, it is the child of, we are the child within. We are the child of this union also. And I'm going to probably be talking more about this because of the different retreats that are coming and how I'm being asked that Mary asks that we come more into this so that we may learn how to balance, how to be in harmony, how to balance the masculine and the feminine within us. And no matter what gender or who you are, we all have masculine and feminine that needs to balance. So this is a very important part of this upcoming year also. Now I'll say on another note, and probably the last part of what I was given as information is, and I've had many people talk to me about, what is their purpose? And that is probably one of the most important questions that one needs to find out the answer to for yourselves is discovering your purpose. What is your purpose? And most people that I speak to or that come to me, they think fulfilling their purpose is by doing some type of a particular job or a career, and sometimes even volunteering, which is a very gracious thing to do, a giving. It's not to say anything against that at all. We all should have a way of giving back so that it's nice. It's a nice reciprocation here. But what if you fulfill your purpose by how you do something and not what you're doing? So how you do it. Think about being fulfilled when how you live your life, which is directed by maybe say your spiritual values, okay? How do you do something is more important actually than what you do. So a job can be very purposeful no matter what you're doing then, because it's how you're fulfilling it and not what you're actually fulfilling. And I'll give you an example. When I lived in Hawaii, we actually got to experience a Hawaiian Christmas parade, which is a very unique happening, because they have floats and they have trucks and they've dressed their trucks up and such, and it's a beautiful thing. Their horses are all, they come from the different islands of Hawaii and they dress them in their regalia and their own and such, and it's really wonderful. It's everybody in the community comes out and knows each other. They stop the parade in the middle of the street to say hello to each other and everyone that's there. So it's just such a community-oriented thing. But they give awards also for the parade and who attended, who was in the parade. And this impressed me and my husband so very much that to this day it still tickles me so much, is that they give an award to everybody that's in the parade, but they don't forget the people that come and scoop up the poop after the animals. And they also are awarded and acknowledged for their part in it. So this very much speaks to not what you do, but how you do your job. And so they do it because that's a part that they want to give, and how they're doing it to the best of what they want to bring. So I think it's a beautiful thing, and I hope that this video speaks to you. I hope that you will hold this in your heart and in your third eye, and that you will open to the higher coding that is coming in, that can up-level you to the frequencies that you choose and resonate to, and that you may let go in this upcoming year of that which no longer really serves and can bring much light into your life and many blessings. Until the next time, remember, keep shining your light. I'll see you again. Thank you for tuning in.